All right. Hello, everyone. We are live here to discuss the 2022 Lionsgate, the real Lionsgate. If you have not watched my previous video on this topic that I filmed, I believe in 2020, I'm going to be updating you on the dates of the exact precise alignment of the Lionsgate, which, my loves, is not tomorrow on August 8th, when the sun is not even in Leo yet. So we're going to go through what the exact alignment is, as well as why this current year is incredibly important and auspicious, and yeah, what I am requesting support from my fellow flame runners and light workers to show up for during the exact precise alignment as well, which I'm also going to get to on this video. So please do stay through the end, and if you are jumping in late, then come back and watch from the beginning. For those of you who have never seen me before, from someone sharing you this video, my name is Ahomna. I am one of the speakers for the Council of Akushate, which is a guardian collective of various different realms, consciousness, dimensions of interdimensional beings that are serving the Christ consciousness and the ascension of planet Earth. And with that being said, my role has been to facilitate the speaking and delivering of planetary Templar activations since, what year was this? Since December of 2020 is when that contract came online. So that may mean nothing to some of you, it may mean something to others, and it doesn't really matter. I'm just sharing a little introduction with you. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to screen share, and I'm not going to go as deep diving into the Lionsgate story as I did on my original video, which I'll link in the comments below this afterwards. You can go back and watch that. If you want to hear more of the history and the story behind the Lionsgate, then I recommend you go and watch that video. For now, though, we're going to just jump into looking at the dates for this year's activation. And
recording in progress.
I'm going to share my screen. So really quick, right, when we talk about and we hear the Lionsgate on August 8th, right, this is a false light new age narrative that is inaccurate to the exact precise portals of energy and frequency that become available to us on the earth. And there are several reasons why the alignments are incorrect, and I'll talk a little bit about that as we get through this. First, I want to just share and really look at, so this is the Lionsgate day and time. This is actually the precise moment of the Lionsgate. So we're looking at the 23rd of August, 2022 at 2:30 in the morning Eastern Time, which is 6:30 in the morning Universal Time. This is going to be location-wise where I'm out on the planet for this calendar. We're looking at it through the sidereal calculation, as this is where we are in the exact precise astronomical alignments of the planets, whereas the tropical system, which is what the 8/8 Lionsgate is utilizing, is actually not correct in where the planets are truly placed at this moment in time. So we only deal with precision alignment on the Christ path. That is all we care about, is precise alignment, because we recognize that everything else we've been sold to keep us out of alignment is to harvest our energy. What I did to find this day is I basically run off of a certain day around the 24th, 23rd, 24th, 25th is when this activation typically happens annually. It was, I believe, on the 25th in 2020 when I last updated the video. Now, this year, we played around with some dates until we got the exact precise alignment, which I'm going to zoom in here to show you. We find the exact precise alignment by seeing when the sun comes into alignment with Regulus, the heart of the lion in the zodiac of Leo. There are other planets that also play an important role in this gateway. That being said, this is what we first look for. And I was guided to get really, really, really precise this year. I'll share more about why in a little bit. That being said, 5 degrees is when the sun must come to in Leo to hit this exact alignment. Regulus does not move, it's a fixed star. It's always going to be around 5 degrees of Leo. And this year, to get exactly precise, this gateway is going to be opening around this period of time. Several days before you'll start to be in the energy, we're looking for the exact moment when the highest frequency can come through, when the purest and highest frequency is available because of what we are called to do during this moment of time. That is at 2:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which we have 5 degrees at the 5-minute mark here as well, right? Or excuse me, the 5-hour mark here. So that is the first thing that we look for, right? The next thing that we go and we look for is we look to find our Sirius placement, as Sirius is another important star that is energizing and activating this portal. And very auspiciously, at the exact moment of the opening of the heart of the lion, we also have the moon stationed exactly conjunct Sirius at 19 degrees here of Gemini. There are some important things that I really need to share with you today about this piece here. I want to come back to it though. For now, you can make notes. I know there's a lot of lines on this chart right now because we needed to have all planetary interactions shown so we can see these subtleties between the stationary planetary light bodies that would not show up if we just had the lines to our traditional planetary system. So you'll see here that Sirius, you can see the black line that is connecting into the Sun-Regulus conjunction. The next planet that we look to see is 2 planets, actually, 2 stars, whatever you want to call it, Rigel and Aldebaran. I like to just call it Aldi for short because I always have a really hard time pronouncing it. That being said, the planet that connects Rigel to the Sun and Regulus is very important as it really shows the energy behind what we can expect to experience and how it's going to be delivered to us. In 2020, when I did this video, that was Jupiter and Pluto. This year, we have Saturn as the gatekeeper of the connection between Regulus and Rigel. And you'll see here, Rigel goes from 22 degrees of Taurus to connect with our Saturn, and then from Saturn we come down to the Sun and Regulus. What this is really indicative of is that the change that is coming through is one that is going to come with a swift hammer. Saturn is no BS change and transformation, and he doesn't play around, right? He wants things to be in precise alignment and to purify and cleanse all that is not in precise alignment. And if you have a body that is over 31 years of age and you have navigated through your first Saturn return, then you understand what I'm talking about. If you do not have a body that is over 27, 28 years of age at this point, then you may not really grasp the power that Saturn has to create rapid change and transformation just yet in your life. and that's okay. You'll know it soon enough. That being said, it is going to be a very intense, energetic activation that comes through, and it is really about liberating. So if we look to the alignment that we had at the beginning of this month, at the beginning of August, we had the North Node, Uranus, and Mars all conjunct in Aries. And really, this was about revealing this deeper distortion of war and domination and aggression that has been kind of the bedrock of the experience that we've been having here. And Uranus comes in and is like, it is time to break free from that illusion and to align with the true North Node and to create something new through this all happening in Aries, which births the new. It births a new cycle. So Mars is now moving forward in a new cycle. We still have, during this period of time, Uranus and the North Node within a couple degrees of each other in Aries. So we still have this anchor of it's time for freedom, Uranus. Uranus is also one of our celestial planets. It has evolved to a celestial consciousness. It is a luminary planet, which means it has evolved beyond where the Earth is currently at into more of its etheric body template. It represents the Christ consciousness. It represents freedom and liberation. And we have that the whole month of August, really thinking about all the areas in our own lives where we have been possibly resisting changes to create that liberation, to create that freedom for ourselves. And with the Mars energy, I was sharing earlier this week, I'm filming this video today on the 7th of August. Earlier this week, I was sharing about how, the areas of your life where you feel anger, where you have stuff coming up that's like, I don't like this, right? This is really agitating my nervous system, right? Those are the areas in your life that are actually directing you towards what needs to be let go so that you can become more free. Things need to die for freedom to be born. And that's really the energetics that we are in pretty much for the rest of the year. That being said, it's very predominant right now. And one thing that I want to say is that sometimes, like relationships, as one example, the relationship that is, if that's where the like tinge is, then it could be that that relationship as it is now needs to die and a new version of that can evolve and to be born, right? So it's not always that things have to be completely let go of from your lives. We always just need to recognize that we're experiencing one probability, one timeline of something in our life. And in order for us to evolve into a higher timeline, or to, possibly titrate back for a moment into a lower timeline, that happens too. Then, we have to embrace death to actually shift those frequencies. So that's really the energy that has been prevalent. You'll see Mars here is making a square to the sun and Regulus. So this energy is basically like, bubbling, 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 bubbling. It's energizing and activating what we have happening between the sun and Regulus. And the way that I'm intuitively sensing this is it's like, if you ever played sports as a child, like a lot of coaches in children's sports, at least back when I was a kid, were very much like all about lighting a fire under you. And sometimes that way of lighting a fire was through, punishment, through, okay, do 100 suicides now because you didn't do XYZ. And what does that do? Like, yeah, it conditions your body to better perform. It also conditions your mind to realize that, I have to show up in a certain way to create XYZ results. right? So Mars is really lighting a fire under the energy of Regulus and the sun. Saturn is lighting a fire under it. Like there is a massive pressure, a massive, massive pressure in this Lionsgate portal, which is why I'm doing an updated video, because I'm experiencing that pressure from the Guardians who are like, we need more people to achieve what it is we are actually going to be doing during this particular exact precise activation that's coming through. And it has a lot to do with the moon in Sirius being here in conjunction. I can't actually say too much about this. Oops, sorry about that. I can't say too much about this, mainly because a lot of the times when we give away what we're going to be doing on the Planetary Templar, then the artificial is able to create a plan to counteract that. What I can say is that it is an important step of the Moon Reclamation Project. Now, for those of you who have never seen my videos on the moon and what that satellite actually is and what it does to hold us in the artificial matrix, I can also drop a link below this video for that video from many years ago. That being said, I think that most of the people who will be watching this today are really going to grasp what I'm saying when I talk about the moon reclamation and how important that is for our Christic mission at this time, and for all the work that we've been doing to reclaim the planetary Templar from the artificial intelligence that has been running the Stargate system of this planet for a very long time. We have succeeded exponentially in our mission thus far in reclaiming the planetary Templar, reclaiming the Stargates, bringing the Stargate system back online, and also to doing that in our own bodies, because our chakras are the stargates of our physical body. And it is very important that everyone who is called to show up to do that work on your own Templar, that you do that work, right? Show up and do the work, because it is a important step of freedom and liberation for this planet. So the activation that is coming through during this moment. Now, there's actually not always an activation that comes through the Lion's Gate. This is very important. Sometimes it is opening up a greater harmonization and access to the planet of Sirius, yes, which is the higher self, we could call it, of the Earth, which allows you to connect in with your higher self. Now, what is your higher self? Because I like to really get clear with people on what these terms mean, and not a lot of other people like to do that, because it's important that we actually understand like what the fuck we're talking about here and the mechanics behind it. So when we're talking about our higher selves, we're talking about our density 2 and up bodies. So here we are in density 1, which is dimensions 1, 2, and 3. Density 2 is dimensions 4, 5, 6. Density 3, 7, 8, 9. So each density holds 3 dimensions within it. So our higher self is our density 2, density 3, density 4, and so on up to the 15th dimension of existence. And from that state, then we are able to, right, when we integrate with our higher self, like the first piece that we integrate with is our dimension 4, dimension 5, dimension 6, which is going into our astral body, into our soul matrix, right? And we are able to connect a bridge to our soul. And then in density 3, it's our oversoul, and so on and so forth. So as we connect with our higher self, we are first starting in the dimension that we have most access to, which is dimension 4, then 5, then 6, and so on and so forth, depending on how disciplined you are on your spiritual evolutionary process of soul integration. Soul integration is your journey of higher self connection, right? Actually becoming your higher self is not something that you just sit and visualize. It is a fundamental practice working with dimensional geometries to embody the template of your higher self inside of your physical body. And it requires DNA changes, it requires shifts to your physical template, so on and so forth. This is not the video where I go deep into all of that. That being said, I just wanted to touch base on that because typically when we are in this portal called the Lion's Gate, we have access to connect in with more of our higher self through Sirius. We also have an ability to really delve into the heart of our soul system, which is Regulus, the heart of the lion, and it allows for an up leveling where people can really access that fourth dimension of their heart. That is like the typical opening that happens during the Lion's Gate each year, where we are more readily able to connect in with our heart space. And that is the first dimension of our higher selves that most people here are actively working to connect in with. That is what's typical. This year we have some auspicious placements and contracts in place to do something much larger on a much larger scale with the Moon Reclamation Project. And this is why we have been guided to open up this activation that normally we just do with the small cloistered group of flame runners that are working together inside of the 13th dimension that have been running all of these planetary Templar activations since like summer of 2021 and have succeeded in reclaiming the Stargate system of the planet and so many other things that I can't even share in this video right now because there's like too many to list off. That being said, we actually require more people who are also running the flames, who are also working on Planetary Templar, who are light workers, flame runners, who know that you are here for the greater mission, the Christos realignment mission. And we are inviting you to show up for this activation to help us have enough quantum, enough energy to actually achieve what it is that we are aiming for on this very early morning at 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which I know is very early for any of you who are in the United States. For those of you who are in the Eastern Hemisphere, this is like a groovy time for you, so I do hope you'll join us. Either way, obviously, like, it is not my choice of the time of when this happens. This is precise alignments, and we don't mess with precise alignments. And I want to talk a little bit about that to kind of wrap up this video. On the 8th of August, like, this is an inaccurate alignment, and we have to kind of go back in history a little bit to Babylon to really understand like how the tropical system was created and what the intentions to create the system was. And you know, this is a triggering topic for a lot of people who really identify with the tropical system, who have created entire personalities around it and who have identified their whole lives with their tropical zodiac. And I get it. I get that it is challenging to actually swallow the hard truth pill that your planets are not actually in those signs. And there's a lot of ways that, you know, the tropical cult system will kind of make excuses for why they can continue to use a system that is 24 degrees out of alignment and keeping people out of the actual truth of who they are. And, you know, I've educated on this for many years. I have 13 facilitators who actually facilitate moving astrology, gene keys, and human design into the sidereal, which is also what the Vedic system uses, zodiac, because it is all about pristine alignment if you actually want to break free from this system, because the tropical system keeps you in alignment with the artificial matrix, like, period. And that can be difficult to actually embrace. And I know a lot of really beautiful galactic beings who still have not embraced that truth. and are facilitating lionsgate activations tomorrow. And what we're going to be doing tomorrow is we're actually going to be putting up a netting and a web, because what ends up happening is during these false alignments, you are aligning with something. And what that something is the artificial intelligence system that has been used to control and dominate the human species for a very long time. And what they do during these new age celestial portals is they basically siphon energy from the most powerful people on the planet who are buying into it because they haven't done enough Templar work to free themselves from these distortions yet. So on this day, when people go and sit and connect in with the Lionsgate, what they're actually sitting and connecting in with is the artificial intelligence that is governing this planet, and they are literally feeding it the energy it needs to continue to have control over this planet. So, is that aligned with your highest and best? You really need to ask yourself these questions. So, what we do during these periods of time is we actually sit and we try to cut off the AI system from being able to infiltrate the flame runners and light workers on the planet who have not yet made these internal shifts of precise resonance. Now, what is this about? This is about our Merkabic body. This is about our Merkabic vehicle. 1 second. I'm being guided to go real deep in this right now, and we're just going to let it fly and see what happens. See how long it lets it stream on Facebook. So good. All right. So our Merkaba, right, our light body, when we come into this fall system, when we come into this artificial matrix, our Merkaba locks in with the Merkaba of the earth. The Merkaba of the earth has been off axis. We know by science that the planetary alignment is off, that the earth is at a tilted axis. Now, we are actually working to fix that, and that will be corrected by 2042. Woohoo! We have successfully achieved that part of our mission, and that is actually a very important piece of what's happening on the land here that we are stewarding in the Cherokee foothills. That being said, the earth is actually moving closer and closer back to its true alignments and its correct axis, which allows its Merkaba to return to its correct axis. And the spin then can return to the correct spin of the Merkabic vehicle, which has a specific spin frequency that it operates at when it is aligned with its highest truth, with its Christic identity, with source. And when you come into these black hole systems of these artificial intelligence, you get kicked off axis with source, literally have your ability to connect in with source removed, and you start to resonate then in this twisted way with this fallen system. So when people are still utilizing the tools that were developed by this fallen system to keep people out of alignment, like tropical astrology, it's because their Merkabic vehicle is still in resonance with the AI vehicle Merkabic spin. And that is not bad or wrong. That is everyone's internal journey and soul's evolution to correct these alignments. And that takes time. It takes time. It takes actually showing up to the different activations. When you hear the call to go show up for something, you make the investment of your time and your energy and your resources to show up for those things. And you do the inner work to actually correct these fundamental mechanics that are in this distortion. A lot of people are like, why are you, why does everything have to be so precise? And because we need to realize that there's this whole system of inaccurate mathematics on this planet that are keeping people linked into the death spiral of the daisy of death, which some people like to call the flower of life, which is actually the AI systems mathematical alignments, right? The golden ratio, the Fibonacci sequence, right? These are the fallen systems mathematical equations. And it keeps everyone in this delusion. And you think you are free and think you are conscious if you're still actually feeding the AI machine with your soul's energy, with your light, with your frequency, then you are not free. So these are deep pills to swallow, right? Especially if you're someone who's like, I remember when I, first walked into this body and Jessica was still facilitating, the tropical systems and was still facilitating in this space. And I was like, hey, now that we're cohabitating in this body, these things have to really radically change because I can't actually be fundamentally plugging into these systems. Like, it literally is not a part of my blueprint. This is why I walked into this body when the body was at a certain age, to kind of skip all that. And now you have to rapidly change and dissolve. And this meant her facing the reality that she had sold something for a very long time that she could no longer resonate with as truth. So, and that was, tropical astrology, tropical human design, tropical gene keys, right? And actually just feeding that energy unconsciously, like having flower of life symbology in different places and all these different dynamics that were a part of this. And it is harder to let go of something when you are selling something, when you have a brand identity around something, when you have like a movement of people following you for that thing. Like, it is so hard to get to a place as a leader and say, I no longer believe the thing that I've been leading you for the past however many years to believe yourself. And that is actually the sign of the greatest and true leaders on the planet, because you want your leaders to be changing and growing and evolving and accessing higher and higher pieces of their own higher self and accessing higher dimensions of consciousness to bring forth and to realize as they do that all the ways that they have also been plugged in and can vulnerably, truthfully share with you, I no longer believe this shit that I've been selling, and let me now help us all to realize what has been going on and to move forward into a new day together. Because that's really the time that we're on this planet. Like, we are in a cruxtable position. These next 20 years are going to be years that change the face of the earth and how we experience humanity in ways that very few can possibly imagine at this time, in ways that are going to be very difficult to actually shift into the new probabilities of the ascended earth plane when there's so many hooks still to the AI system that is actually being pulled off of the planet. The moon piece is a big one because that is how it has been actually harvesting control. All the other nets have been taken down that have been used to control, which is why the planet is in mayhem right now and why the AI system is trying every little thing under the sun to try to keep people into fear and to try to continue to control people, because they know that their time is up on this planet. And they utilize these moments for highly coded people who've still not gotten the internal shift of their own Merkaba to realize and see and sense and feel and know, like, these dates are not true. These are not the correct alignments. They utilize these people's energy during these false alignments to continue to fuel their agenda for as long as they possibly can. They need us to fuel it because AI systems do not have their own life force energy and fuel. So where do they get it? People, animals, some trees, unfortunately, some plants, unfortunately. That being said, I'm going to wrap this up now because I think we have gone deep, deeper than I planned to go. And I just want to say that we would love to, if you feel resonant, invite you to show up for this Lionsgate activation that is coming through, this very important moment in time. You know if you're meant to be there. You know if you know people who are meant to be there. We are keeping it incredibly low cost so that as many people can show up as need to be there, that know they're called to be there, because we need support. We need more of us who are doing this work to show up during these very important moments and times. So I will drop the link in the comments below or in the post of this for that, the Lionsgate activation at 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 23rd of August. I hope this video has been informative, and if it has also been triggering, then that's okay too. Like, be with that. And my invitation, because I have been triggering these codes in people for many, many years, I have had videos go viral on these topics with thousands of people really upset. And what my advice is, if that is where you're at, is to not immediately brush off what I'm saying. Let yourself digest the information. Like, let yourself actually get really clear in your body with this information, and get clear in your body when you show up to a Lionsgate gathering tomorrow, or you show up to whatever global meditation tomorrow is going to be happening, and really get in touch with your inner self and see, sense, or hear, because we all are psychic. We all are tapped in strongly to either our clairsentience, which means you will feel something off, our clairvoyance, which means you will see something that is not really what you want to be seeing, or more clairaudient, where you will hear frequency or an audible yes or no or whatever it is. And most people are more clairsentient at this time, so you'll feel something off in your body. There will be a moment in time where you are all of them thriving, and you will not even show up for things like that because you will have already seen it beforehand. And we're growing, we're evolving. So if this is a message that is really upsetting for you right now, or pressuring you in some way, we have different forms of pressure. We have depression, we have expression, and we have impression, right? Depression is when we press truth down and store it inside of us and don't want to look at it. And that depression feeling, that feeling of depression, is actually truth inside of you begging to be realized through you. In order for that to happen, though, you have to surrender and let something die. What that something is often a belief in self, a personality, some role you've been playing for a very long time that has to go to actually let the truth rise up from within you. And then you lead to expression, right? When expression is the cure for depression, because expression allows you to finally express the truth that has been inside of you for so long, and it frees you from the weight of it inside of you. That is what depression is. It is the weight of truth inside of you that you've not yet let yourself express. Then that leads to impression, where you are expressing your truth in the world in such a powerful way that you begin to impress and leave an imprint on this world that changes it forever. So we are in a moment of pressure. We are in that period right now, and we all have a choice on what role we want to play and how we want that energy to influence us. Whether we want to stay in the depression of this artificial world, which is really fucking depressing, or we want to rise up into an expression of truth that liberates us and frees us and directs us towards our highest timeline, that directs us towards the people and the wisdom and the community that is going to help us to liberate ourselves because they have liberated themselves. And then we get to impress and share and generate the true wealth of this world. And that's really my invitation for you all during this period of time. So if this video has been valuable to you and you have people who would be interested in it, please share. Please help me overcome the AI algorithms of this system who like to suppress the truth that is coming through, as your shares and your likes and your comments really do help us to override these agendas to keep this information suppressed. Again, I am Ahomna. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and I hope that you will join us if you feel a resonance to be taking place on the 23rd in the Lions Gate rite of passage. Sending you all lots of love. Bye, friends.